Disney dropped nearly $250 million trying to bring Snow White back to the big screen. You'd expect fireworks, magic, maybe a new classic, but what they got instead was something far more brutal, something that hit harder than any bad review. Their multi-million-dollar gamble became a punchline, not just a minor joke, but a full-blown merciless roast. And the source of this humiliation? Other cartoons. Family Guy, the king of cutting satire, didn't just poke fun, they went for the jugular. They turned the entire project into a joke. The movie, the company's decisions, even Disney's obsession with rehashing old stories. The wildest part? They didn't even need to say the lead actress's name. Everyone watching knew exactly who and what they were targeting. The message was savage, loud, and impossible to ignore. This wasn't just a throwaway gag in a late-night cartoon. It was a targeted attack that landed with devastating force because audiences are already at their breaking point. People are genuinely fed up, tired of what feels like forced reinventions and lectures hidden inside entertainment. And, fairly or not, the young actress cast as Snow White, Rachel Zegler, is becoming the lightning rod for all that pent-up frustration. The message wasn't just implied. Family Guy drew a picture of Disney's downfall. Imagine this scene: Peter Griffin looking utterly bewildered in Disneyland. Behind him, a roller coaster labeled Disney stock is plummeting straight down. That's not subtle. That's Family Guy declaring in giant flashing letters that Disney's once invincible empire is crashing, and this endless drive to reimagine beloved classics is the wrecking ball. But they weren't done. The episode twisted the knife further. Peter watches TV, sees someone he finds attractive, says, "Wow, that girl is hot." Then his friend immediately corrects him. "That's a boy. It keeps happening." "Wow, that girl's hot. That's a guy." "That other guy's handsome." "That's a girl." "That cat is cute." "That's a dog," Peter finally snaps, shouting, "What is everything?" It's chaotic, it's funny, sure, but peel back the layers, and it's a direct, blazing shot at the identity politics that many viewers feel are strangling genuine storytelling in Hollywood. The phrase, "what is everything?" blew up online. It became a meme, a perfect shorthand way to capture that feeling many viewers have when watching modern reboots. Everything feels changed, renamed, redefined, and there's this expectation that you just accept it. Family Guy took that widespread feeling of confusion and frustration and hammered it into a precision-guided punchline. They didn't hold back, and honestly, they didn't need to. That's the dark luxury you have when your show is built on being gleefully offensive. But for Disney, this wasn't just another late-night roast. It was a public, brutal signal that something was seriously wrong, and they couldn't simply ignore it. Yet, just when you think that's the depth of the problem, you uncover the next twist. Family Guy wasn't even the first animated giant to take aim at Disney's new direction. South Park beat them to it, and they didn't just mock Snow White, they seemed determined to dismantle the entire system behind it. They targeted the figures in the boardroom, specifically Kathleen Kennedy. Disney's executive often linked to these decisions, the perceived recycled casting approach, and what they savagely labeled the "put a chick in it and make her gay" playbook. If Rachel Zegler was in the crosshairs for Family Guy, South Park appeared to drop a nuclear bomb right on the heart of Disney's creative process. South Park didn't just roast Disney, they seemed to perform a reverse engineering of the formula and then openly mocked it, line by brutal line. In their Joining the Pandaverse special, they introduced a character clearly meant to be Kathleen Kennedy, giving her a mystical object they called the Panderstone. Her mission, in their satirical world, was to insert diverse women into every single franchise, whether it made a shred of narrative sense or not. The episode itself is a fever dream, a nightmare scenario for Cartman, tormented by a multiverse where every classic character is replaced by a self-righteous, seemingly corporate-approved version. While undeniably satire, the message landed too close to reality for Disney to just laugh it off. The moment that went instantly viral, that became an overnight slogan, was South Park's version of Kennedy throwing her hands up and declaring, "Put a chick in it and make her gay." That one sentence, dripping with South Park's signature cynicism, instantly became the rallying cry for how many viewers perceived Disney's recent output: formulaic, forced, and ultimately hollow. But the waves of criticism didn't crest and break with just animated shows. The discontent reached into unexpected places, even catching a legend in its current. George Lucas himself, how far this controversy had spiraled. The studio that gave us some of cinema's most cherished stories was now finding itself dragged publicly, not just by online critics and YouTube commentators, but by legendary animation studios and potentially one of its own original foundational creators. And caught squarely in the middle of this swirling storm of public perception and industry critique, the young actress, Rachel Zegler. While Snow White was still reeling from its public backlash and financial failure, Disney was reportedly already setting its sights on the next potential multi-billion-dollar gamble. Enter the live-action remake of Tangled. And reports, seemingly confirmed through various industry whispers, suggested Rachel Zegler was attached to that project too. This news, landing in the wake of the Snow White disaster, did not go over well online, to put it mildly. Tangled is rumored to be slated as potentially the most expensive Disney remake ever attempted. We're talking whispers of over $500 million, all in, including the marketing blitz. But after losing nearly $200 million on Snow White's production budget alone, before even counting marketing costs where losses climb even higher, there are reportedly significant waves of panic spreading behind the scenes at Disney. Even the most fiercely loyal Disney fans are starting to ask the obvious, uncomfortable question: why? Why would they risk this much money again, especially with an actress the internet has already seemingly sharpened pitchforks for? The backlash against the Tangled remake appears to be gaining steam before cameras have even started rolling. And it's crucial to understand, this isn't necessarily because anyone doubts Rachel Zegler's talent. Her performance in West Side Story earned praise. It's because, for a growing number of people, it feels less like they're being sold a genuinely reimagined story and more like they're being sold a brand. And when you throw $500 million behind promoting that brand, the expectation isn't just for a good movie. It's for something bulletproof, something people genuinely want to see, something they can wholeheartedly root for. Right now, the energy surrounding this doesn't seem to be heading anywhere near that kind of positive territory. And speaking of negative energy, that brings us straight to a moment that, while seemingly small, became a powerful symbol of the whole messy situation. It was the moment Rachel walked into a movie theater, posted a brief video, and accidentally reminded everyone just how badly Snow White seemed to have connected, or rather, failed to connect, with audiences. Normally, an actress visiting a screening of their film wouldn't even make headlines. But this wasn't just any screening. This was reportedly for her own movie, a moment meant to be a small, celebratory promotional beat. And the seats? Almost completely empty. She posted a quick story, maybe on Instagram, flowers in hand, walking into the cinema as if it were a grand premiere. But behind her, just a couple of scattered viewers. No buzz, no crowd, no sense of excitement or anticipation. It looked less like a major blockbuster event and more like an awkward Tuesday afternoon matinee showing of a niche art house film. What was likely intended as a cute, relatable viral moment instantly became a meme within hours. People began joking that she'd brought flowers to a funeral. Some called it the loneliest premiere in Disney history. And while it's easy, maybe even a little cruel, to laugh at the awkwardness of that image, it symbolized something much deeper. It highlighted the stark disconnect, the disconnect between the giant marketing machine and the actual movie, between the lead actress and the mass audience that should have been filling those seats. And a significant reason for that perceived disconnect? The casting itself became controversial from the very beginning. The original classic tale of Snow White describes her central physical characteristic in its very name: skin as white as snow. So, when Disney announced they had cast a Latina actress for the iconic role, the internet predictably erupted with opinions. Critics argued that if you're going to undertake the massive, expensive task of remaking a beloved classic, there's a baseline expectation that you at least attempt to honor the core descriptions and elements that define the character in the first place. Rachel, to her credit, responded publicly, seemingly pushing back against the criticism. Reports claim she did this through a TikTok video or similar social media post, emphasizing the importance of modern representation and inclusivity. But sources claim the problem wasn't just the casting decision itself, it was allegedly how everything was handled afterward. Beyond simply defending her role, some reports circulating online claimed Rachel began publicly criticizing the original animated film itself. Allegations suggest she,